everybody. Welcome to episode 1056 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles. Piles?
Did you say Piles?
I might have. We could rewind the tape, boys and girls, see if I messed up my own last name. That could be a first.
Classic trail move.
To my right, yeah. To my right, James Dean Rader. He's stage left. To my left, Tyler Meisinger, who I learned this morning is actually a cousin of Tito Ortiz. That is awesome.
Why would you say that?
I thought that's what you said.
I never said anything of the sort.
Okay, I just thought
he's just also from Orange County, so you just think that.
Well, the dyed blonde hair, kind of both really smart guys, comeback athlete legends.
Okay.
So that's just why I thought that, and then I thought you said, yeah, he's my cousin. I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering. And to the left, John Kozak. We call him the father. I call him the father of lies.
You're the one who just lied on air.
That was a lie. That was a lie.
Golly.
But my lies are so ridiculous. Kozak, see, his lies trick me.
No, that's good.
And that's wrong.
Yeah, you just can't catch what is sarcasm and what's the truth.
Because your sarcasm and your truth are presented in identical tone. You don't have a twinkle in your eye that I can discern that you're not telling the truth.
That's what makes it so charming.
I know.
I know.
Curse his charm. Okay. Great show on tap for today. But first, a reminder, you can listen to the show Mondays, Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you're subscribed on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Leave those 5-star reviews. Actually, it's only 5 stars are possible or allowed.
For FRL listeners.
For FRL listeners.
It's our podcast specific.
Yeah, we just have that configuration. It's smart.
Leave a comment on Apple Podcasts. We might read it.
We might. There's a chance. If it's nice.
If it's
mean,
5 stars.
If it's mean or funny, we might read it if it's mean and funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, YouTube, Facebook, the Flow Sports app, you can listen. And upcoming events, U20 Worlds start Monday. That's very soon. On Labor Day, in fact. Oh, yeah, I should also mention we're not doing this show Monday. We're doing it Tuesday because of Labor Day. And you guys are going to be out barbecuing. You're not going to listen to us. So we'll just do it Tuesday. It'll be the same thing.
I won't be barbecuing.
What will you be doing?
I'm not home.
I'm saying the people will be barbecuing.
That's right.
I don't know what I wasn't speaking for everyone.
Yeah, he doesn't know what your plans are.
Yeah, I don't know. That's between you and Colleen. So we're doing the show Tuesday, Thursday next week. And then U20 Worlds will be going on during that time. And, of course, Senior World Team Trials is heating up. We'll talk about that. That's in just 2 weeks now. Holy cow. But first, let's kick it to JD for the opening round.
We talked a bit about it on Monday, but since then, the amount of talk has only increased around Iowa. Their whole transfer situation. Is it good? Is it bad? People love it. People hate it. How do we feel about it?
Well, I feel fine about it. I have no issue. I think there's the reason for the negative reaction. I mean, I did a video about this, but the reason primarily is it's Iowa, and because Iowa's doing this, and they're the biggest fan base, and they're the most hated fan base, the hated team in college wrestling. I don't think that's a surprise or an unknown. But I think hypocrisy is probably a strong word, but like the inconsistent logic applied for what's applied to Iowa and what's not applied to other schools is really obvious. And this notion that they're the only team that is, drastically modifying their squad via transfers is kind of insane. Ben Askren often made light of the Michigan situation he called them the Michigan mercenaries.
He did. Why are you looking at me?
I just look to my left sometimes.
I agree with you 100%, but there is a difference this time around than times past, and the fact that these guys transferred to Iowa without going in the portal. Pretty much every time before, an athlete would go in the portal and then transfer.
Oklahoma State gets a transfer. The guy's on campus right after the season ends. And then he transfers. I mean, these things happen, and also it's illuminating. And I'm not saying there's anything going on different there. I'm just saying same deal. And the broader point with that, with the timing and the no portal, is the rules are different now. You don't have to go in the transfer portal to transfer. It's
I
basically
mean, look at the guys who left Iowa. They're at South Dakota State the next day.
exactly Glazier Seabrook. All right, South Dakota State. Aiden Riggins is at Iowa State. It sounds like Bradley Hill is going.
So
to
here's the question I had. Unless you have a thought you want to finish real quick.
Well, just that why people are maybe having a stronger reaction is the not realizing that the rules are really different now. You know, you think back, this is not even like it was 2 years ago. You can just
So I would listen to your video that you did. I listened to it yesterday, and you're like, nothing's preventing these guys from just applying to these schools, getting into schools, and joining the wrestling team.
Legally not allowed. The University of Tennessee went to court over that, and the courts decided in favor of Tennessee that it is illegal to reprimand someone or you can't stop someone from just applying to a school.
Okay. I thought you were saying the opposite for a second. I got really confused. But okay, so you're saying it's allowed to do
Yes.
that. My question is, usually schools have like a application deadline, and like the only way that you can do it past that is if you get flagged by a coach as an athletic prospect. Then admissions kind of makes exceptions. So like, is that allowed if they apply, or the coaches, even if they're not recruiting them, still allowed to be like, this is an athlete, accept this person?
I don't think that's probably necessary, but that could be part of it. Yeah, sure.
So I think you're not allowed to be recruited by, I don't know how much contact is allowed or not. I don't think it matters because I don't think nobody is turning anybody in for compliance issues anymore. Like,
Well, they're getting turned in, but this just doesn't go anywhere.
right, because the NCAA is like, they're pushing the ball back in the school's court.
Yeah.
School gonna, punish Tom Brands for bringing in 2 number 1 ranked recruits, especially when their football coach, he is suspended for 1 game. Ferentz for recruiting violations.
What's that got to do with anything? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I'm saying, do you want your maybe next biggest program to be in trouble with recruiting violations?
Yeah, they're
as
not.
well?
Yeah, the rules are being followed here. People don't like the rules, and I understand it. It is so different from how it was, but I think some acceptance of what is new and how everything has changed is, important with this. And I fans are going to react how they react, but I felt like, Ben was certainly upset about it, and other members of the media saying, "Hey, they're buying a team." And one crazy aspect of it all is just that every bit of Iowa juice, news, gossip gets out. I mean, it is the leakiest ship in college wrestling by far. Everything gets out, and I talked a little bit about it, but like, part of that is there's a gravity of people wanting that information, right? There's people that want to put that out there. We don't really put it out there ever, but we hear it all too. But there is an element that just everything, for whatever reason, seems to get out. And that, I think that feeds into it as well, because then everyone learns the numbers and it kind of paints this picture. Whereas every other program, we don't know what Carter Starachi makes. We don't know what Dustin Plott makes. We don't know what Jesse Mendez makes. And frankly, none of it is information I'm trying to even learn. I don't care. To me, it's not my business. I think it's interesting and whatever, but yeah, you just don't hear about it. I mean, Carter Starachi said he's the highest paid college wrestler by a lot. Well, we don't know how much it is. And I'm not asking, but
I would like to know.
I'm not,
Yeah, you wouldn't like to know?
I guess I would like. Yeah, I guess maybe I would. But it's not information. Well, how much would I like to know? Could I probably find out if I wanted to? I probably could if I asked around enough, but I don't care to ask around enough so I don't care that much.
You're saying like with Iowa people, it just gets sent to you without you asking.
I mean, sent to everyone. Yeah, you hear all this
It's
stuff.
tweeted.
Yeah, I don't ask. Yeah.
It's kind of funny to look back on. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Oh yeah.
I recently did a Twitter thread of a bunch of old Iowa posters, and the 84-85 poster, literally the slogan on the team poster was, "Everybody loves to hate Iowa wrestling."
This is so classic. I mean, Coach Brands, if they reenacted this, look at Barry Davis.
I know, right? If we can pull up the NDI slate ever, we can show it to the people watching. This one was my favorite poster of all of them. It's a take on Dallas, the TV show.
Yes. Perfect. Very topical.
I don't know what that is.
Now, it was just like a drama, 80s television drama. Kind of like, not a soap opera, but.
Is it one of those shows that JD probably grew up watching because he loves to, like in the early 2000s, he lived in the 80s?
I didn't grow up watching Dallas. I have seen.
We always joke that JD just always watches like old TV shows and like.
We were a big MASH household.
Dang, MASH, I think, is like a 70s show.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, for sure, everyone does love to hate Iowa wrestling, except the Iowa fans who love to love them. Love to hate all the haters.
I'm kind of surprised the hate for Iowa wrestling has stayed around.
As
so long.
they've not been the dominant juggernaut that it
Correct.
hasn't shifted to Penn State really much at all.
No.
Like,
It is starting to.
do you think so?
Especially with
Carter
trials.
Carter
this
could
year.
help.
Yep, especially with trials this year.
Yeah.
Like, and as Penn State brings in more of a younger fan base too, like it's starting to shift a little bit.
It's crazy that, I mean, we're like 15 years in now, and it really hasn't to the degree, and maybe it'll get there at some point. But yeah, I think it's kind of they just carry themselves a little bit differently. Like, they don't lean into it. Like Iowa, for sure, in the past, like, leaned into the villain role. I mean, they're leaning hard
had a
here.
poster.
But even, like Gilman, like all-time villain, right? The best.
I've always said it though. Like, if Carter Strachey was in an Iowa singlet,
Oh my gosh.
most hated person in college wrestling, he would be like Gilman. He says just as outlandish stuff as Gilman did, if not more.
Yeah, that's true. I think it would. Yeah, his popularity overall, I think, would be really. It'd be different.
He said before the NCAA finals he was going to piss on his opponent's graveyard. That is, and
The
like
entire yard.
we kind of just brushed that off like it was nothing.
We talked about it.
I know we talked about it, but
I was like, ask her.
Dude, I still quote that all the time. We all do. It's so funny.
Poor graveyard. So, anyways, so yeah, that was. I thought I maybe had some other things to say, but that's the long and short of it.
Is what Iowa is doing different than what Penn State has done in the past?
You could say. I mean, you could say everything's different because nothing's the same, right? But I think.
Wow, that was deep.
I mean, well,
Especially when it comes to rankings.
listen, because Kozak puts me in a blender sometimes and like changes things.
Don't put baby in a blender.
So what I'll say is, spiritually, no, they're the exact same. You're trying to upgrade your roster, and you're following the exact same rules that everyone wrestles under and competes under, and you're doing what you can to upgrade your roster and put the best team on the lineup. That's what they've done. I mean, Oklahoma State could have 7 transfers in their lineup. Okay, but no one's talking about that. And there's nothing wrong with having 10 transfers in your lineup. It's all fine. But there's a narrative out there that Iowa is doing it differently or more or something. And it's like, the timing is certainly unique, right? That's a new thing. I think that's something maybe we'll see more and more as time goes on. This is just maybe the first iteration of that. But no. Penn 165 goes 0-2. They bring in Mitchell Messenbrink. Why wouldn't you? You got a hole at 133. You got a guy that maybe could qualify, not going to get the job done. You bring in Aaron Nagao. And Greg Kirkfleet. They had Seth Nevels. Done it forever. Oklahoma State. XY. I mean, you could see it for all these teams. Any team that's trying to do this, this is how you operate. You're trying, if you can get a wrestler that's going to improve your team, you get them. Iowa could get Buchanan and Teamer. They, without a doubt, make their team significantly better. Why would you not get them?
Question.
Tyler.
So like we've all talked about how it's not illegal for boosters to contact athletes. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Is it not allowed? Are there even rules yet for how coaches are allowed to coordinate with boosters?
I'm not sure.
Like, can a booster tell a coach, hey, I'm trying to get this guy to come to your school, and the coach can be like, yeah, keep doing that? Or like, can there be no contact there?
I don't know.
Is that a super gray area?
I don't know how that works exactly. I mean, I feel like they don't want the coach to be like, hey, call this guy, offer that. But I don't think there's anything stopping.
But even if the coach did do that, is there anything in the rules saying they can't right now?
How would they know?
Yeah. I mean, they have text records and stuff. Like, have they ever gone that deep? I don't know. But
I mean, how much are they really looking into this?
they're not. I'm just trying to figure out, like, if they're...
You're just trying to find some way to paint it.
No, I'm not.
Well, I mean, you're digging. What if he said this to this guy?
No, I do. I do have a question. Like, that is a fair question. Like, can a coach coordinate with boosters on how to recruit guys?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Guess is technically no.
I bet there's some capacity.
I know a coach can't talk to an athlete about NDI about NIL, and like they can't be like, hey, we're going to give you this much to come here. They legally cannot say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to a coach talking to a booster, to talk to a person, a proxy, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't know. Here's my kind of take on it. It's kind of a sick ass flex to be like, hey, we have multiple guys on our team that are making $500,000. Like, why is nobody else like,
Yeah.
that's cool. That's awesome that you can pay multiple athletes these insane amounts of money. Like, why are you not screaming it from the rooftops? If you got a Ferrari, you don't keep it in the garage, you know?
Well, maybe that's why it's kind of an open secret. Maybe that's why.
Maybe
They want it out.
Maybe they do want it out. That's part of it. And also another really cool dynamic to it is like, not only is it great, I mean, everyone wants college athletes to get paid. This is them getting paid. But also, you guys don't remember 4 or 5 years ago, really, kind of Soriano was one of the first ones where back in the day, and even before Soriano, these guys someone would want to transfer out, transfer in, and the coaches could just lock them down.
Yeah.
And you would have to stay, even if they brought in someone to replace you, even if they brought in whatever, and you had to remain there. Now, aren't you glad that Zach Glazier and Kobe Seabrick are going to they're gonna be able to contribute and wrestle at the NCAA tournament or pursue their goals and dreams at a great program? Like, the symbiosis and the flow, I think it's good that the coaches can't hang on to them as well, and that the free movement is I think that's a positive for the sport as well. Now, you know, the money aspect is going to always create it's going to more illustrate the difference between the haves and the have-nots in wrestling, and there's a stark difference, but I don't think it's but ultimately it's good that these guys are getting money.
Yeah, and no offense to Riggins, Seabrick, and Glazier, and you can feel bad for them. You know, they no doubt put in a handful of years at Iowa, and especially if you know them, you would probably have liked to see them get in the lineup at Iowa and perform at the NCAA tournament for them. But who in their right mind that isn't associated with those guys would look at those three and Ja'Cory Teamer and Stephen Buchanan and not make that trade? Like, those guys are just more proven.
Not only that, but in what world do you think your spot's guaranteed? When you select Penn State, Iowa, Oklahoma State, Ohio State, Missouri, Arizona, like, nothing's guaranteed at these places. Like, you don't get, there's no, you know, I mean, it says the word loyalty. It's like, it's not even, you have to be loyal to the team, right? And you're not going to just stick with a guy because they were your guy last year or they've been there 4 years. There's more important factors.
Now, is this a precedent you want to set for your program? And, you know, it's one thing to say, you know, I feel like every coach in the country will probably say, we put our best guy in the lineup. You know, when they're recruiting a guy and he says, whatever, and very few will guarantee, hey, you're going to be our guy for 4 years, no matter what.
Right.
They will say, we put our best, we will do everything we can to make you the best you can be, but we put our best lineup out there.
Right.
it is a little bit different, undeniably, when you bring in a guy from a different program, multiple guys who allegedly were not even looking to transfer.
I mean, they did transfer, so they were looking well enough.
That's another difference in this scenario.
That's speculation. We don't know that they weren't looking to transfer. I mean, they certainly were because they did. It's a free country. They could have stayed where they wanted to. Stephen Buchanan has already transferred once.
Okay, well,
no one even mentioned like that. Oh yeah, this guy's. No, it wasn't a big outrage when he transferred from Wyoming to Oklahoma, but when he transferred from Oklahoma to Iowa, now it's ramped up a little bit more.
I think some people were like, "Damn, he left Wyoming."
Some people.
I think the other narrative, and you maybe touched on this a little bit, but didn't dive too deep into it, was the fact that, people are saying this shows Iowa can't develop guys. They're just looking to bring in the next best guy. I know Ben said that. DJ in the chat said, "I'd like to see them start develop their recruits or transfers to achieve more than projected coming out of high school." So, do you think that's just a narrative, or is there truth to that? And does this feed into that?
I mean,
definitely feeds into the narrative.
Who coming out of their high school careers thought that Zach or Kobe would do what they've done to
100%.
this point? No, that was not predicted by anyone. These were under the radar recruits. Glazier maybe a little more so than Kobe, but the expectation for those guys was not to be national champions when they came out of high school. I mean, and Zach Glazier, I thought he was a great symbol of their development to the level he got to last year. I don't think there was any expectations outside of people in Iowa City that Zach Glazier was going to do what he did last year. And I know he scored 1.5 points, but when you look at his season, Kozak probably can remember better than me, but this guy was ranked in the top 8 during parts of the last year, maybe even higher than that. So I don't think
his only losses going into NCAAs were Aaron Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, he beat Silas.
No, he didn't have the toughest schedule.
He beat Silas Allred, Big Ten champ, guy that had 3 wins over Max Dean. He had some wins. So I don't. Does that mean not develop? And also, listen. There's no argument where the best talent is being developed right now. You can't argue with what Penn State's doing, right? So they're almost in a separate category and discussion.
You could argue that other schools develop better because Penn State takes the top echelon recruits and then makes them unbelievably great. But if you take a completely off the big board guy and make him an All-American, that is actually tougher than taking a top 10 big board guy and making him an NCAA.
Glad you brought that up.
Saying you could argue. I'm not saying I am, but I'm saying you could argue that shows better development.
I'm glad you brought that up. Because there's also like this. There's no degrees of difficulty in wrestling. You don't get added bonus points for doing something that's harder. So you take someone that's from further away from the promised land or furthest away from excellence in wrestling and getting them. There's no award for that. There's no I mean, it's a good thing to do, and you want to help people get better. But if you can get someone,
are you saying everybody goes into college with an even slate?
No. I'm not done talking. My point is, Penn State's trying to get the best high school guys, just like Iowa is, just like Ohio State, Oklahoma State are. Okay, but that there's some fake novelty that's associated with taking someone that was totally under the radar and getting them to a certain level that is helpful. They're like somehow a better symbol of development. I think it's way harder and rarer to take someone from excellent to transcendent. Like we've seen Penn State has gone from, they've had multiple all-timers. And by the time, in 20 years of the Penn State era of college wrestling, the number of the top 20 greatest college wrestlers of all time that went from Penn State is not just reflective of their recruiting classes. Because you could find recruiting class rankings. I mean, we post them. You look at Willie's over the years. It's not Penn State #1 every year, right? Oklahoma State. How many #1 recruiting classes have we seen? Oklahoma State, Ohio State, Iowa. It's not just. I think Penn State recruits extremely well and probably the best, but there's a lot of revisionist about what Vincenzo Joseph was coming out of high school. What some of these wrestlers were. They're really good, but then they hit some level that we did not see coming. I mean, it was a debate, like, oh, Bo Nickel or Johnny Sebastian. That was a real wrestling debate in high when they were in high school. And now saying that, you may think I'm picking on Johnny Sebastian. That's what was true then. And that's how things can change. And I mean, I give credit to Penn State for their ability to take really good high school and make it transcendent. And I don't know. I'm not sure where.
Well, you said that that one isn't better than the other, but then you also went on to say, but this is better. But it's better to take from excellent to transcendent.
I think that is better. I do think.
Okay, so you don't think it's like everything is even. Like there's no. You said everything is the same difficulty.
It may be the same difficulty, but it is not the same value or relevance. It's like maybe it's hard. There's no value in the degrees of difficulty of something. Is my point.
You're saying what matters is what makes you most relevant.
Yeah.
Sure. I do reject your premise that.
Oh, he's rejecting premises.
More or less, you said like coming into college, like anybody can be anything almost. Like
I didn't say that. I don't think that at all, actually.
Okay, that's how you started.
No,
that whole take off with.
No, I don't.
I'm saying I would like to see like Penn State take. I know outside of Kassar, like not a mega recruit and make them like multiple time NCAA champion. That doesn't happen. I feel like all their huge NCAA champions were like top 20 on the big board.
Who does? When
That's what I'm saying. Not every recruit, like there's a big difference in recruits coming in and your starting point.
Right.
So that's why like you could argue that taking a no-name to an All-American, multiple All-American finish is equally as hard as taking an Aaron Brooks and making him a multiple-time national
I
champion.
mean, they've had some. I mean, James English was an All-American. They've had guys like that. I always had guys like that. I mean, you see them from time to time unheralded that end up placing. Yeah. I mean, it's not.
Wasn't James English the reason they won a national title?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
That's kind of sick.
His points were huge. So I don't know.
You guys want to talk about World Team Trials?
Let's take it before we move on.
Yeah.
How do you feel, rules or not, against rules or not, having a booster reach out to a guy who has shown no interest in transferring and saying, hey, if you come to our program, we will offer you a bunch of money? How do you feel about that?
Well, we're speaking on a hypothetical. We don't.
Sure. Hypothetically speaking, how do you feel about it?
Well, I think
if you were running a college program, would you do it?
I mean, that is for all these teams to figure out and negotiate, and that's the biggest challenge in all this. Is like all these kids talk. They're all, everyone's looking in their neighbor's yard and coveting maybe potentially, and.
Bunch of sinners.
It's like, hey, he got this. I want that. I've accomplished this. I want that. That's a real thing that's for the coaches they've got to handle that. They've got to figure it out. They've got to manage that. I think that's a huge challenge that these teams are facing, like that angle. But I'm not going to speak on the hype. See, the problem with all this stuff is like, it was like this, I don't want to say like 2017, 18, Penn State just kept getting awesome recruit after awesome recruit. And it was mostly Iowa fans were just fabricated. It was all these kind of, Tom Ryan kind of did this, like saying there's ghosts out there. Like that's how everyone felt. Like, oh, Penn State, they're doing something. There's something else happening here.
They got ghouls.
It was just like, oh, how are they getting these? They're doing this kind of thing and this thing that's untoward. It's like, no, actually, they just want to wrestle at Penn State, and
the mystique of it.
On. And now, it's similar here with Iowa. We don't know. There's theories on what's happening, and
mine was completely hypothetical.
Completely hypothetical. I mean, I think it's a problem. It's a challenge for these other teams because how many teams have a guy like that? Have a booster that's similar that way? So yeah, That's my.
So you're saying that it's just the name of the game? You would do it?
Well, okay. Everyone at the start of every game, you establish the rules, and that's what the game operates under.
Right.
Okay. And that's how that's as long as you're doing that, then what we can't say, well, it's not right that they're using this rule better than anyone else can. We just have to say these are the rules. Should the rule be different? Is a separate conversation. Would I prefer not anyone to be able to call anyone at any given time? And I would prefer that, but I live in the real world, and there's rules, and everyone's wrestling under the same rules, and football is the same way, and basketball is the same way, and everyone wanted these changes, and now this is what these changes look like.
It's a dog-eat-dog world.
It's a dog-eat-dog world, as we've always said.
Well, there are people saying that's not how Penn State does things.
Okay.
And that's not how Kale.
People can say that now, but like this era just started too. So like, who knows how Penn State will run things in the future? Too, like, I don't know. I think I would not be shocked unless something changes, if you see this happen with a lot of teams in the future.
I mean, Penn State had a bunch of transfers. What do you mean?
Yeah. He's saying
Well, I'm
without the
saying-
portal and stuff.
Yeah, like Penn State isn't reaching out. I'm not saying that. I don't know. I am not. But I'm saying the illusion is that Penn State has never reached out to somebody before they showed any interest in transferring. And then once that they showed interest in transferring and they filled a hole Penn State could need.
right,
then
Penn State also hasn't
on.
needed to, because they haven't really had holes. Like they've
they
been.
have filled with they have filled holes.
Well, okay, but what I'm saying is they filled the transfers with the portal, and then once the portal closed, they didn't really need to do it anymore.
Okay, I don't understand why the illusion for one team is all to the positive and the illusion for other team. That's my entire premise.
Yes, I agree.
That's exactly what I'm trying to talk against. Like the idea that, Penn State does everything in the most virtuous way possible, and everything that Iowa does is untoward and back channels. Like, we should stop with all of that.
Double standard.
Yeah, so stop.
No, but I agree. I would agree with you. I'm trying.
You're perpetuating it right here on the air.
I have always been that people are always against Iowa. I have said that since I have
No,
been
but
on
then you're
this show.
perpetuating this point that
I
they do
perpetuate it so
everything-
you can put it down.
Oh, okay.
And we can put it down, and we can.
Serving
All
up.
right.
We can't.
He's
We
serving
can't.
All right. I'm just hooping.
We can't keep alluding to things
All
without
right.
saying this is the perception, and the perception is
All right.
potentially wrong.
I feel
can't
you
just
now.
keep saying and
Yeah.
going around it. You need to say this is the perception, and then
Yeah, JD.
No, we agree that I do think Iowa gets a double standard for a lot of things.
Yeah. And I saw someone asked about the 7 transfers for Oklahoma State, and I saw Kozak, in case you didn't see Kozak respond. So they've got Spratley, Jameson, Carter Young, Caleb Fish, Cam Amin, Dean Hamady, and Wyatt Hendrickson are the 7. And there's a very strong possibility all 7 of those guys wrestle
In their starting lineup.
in their starting lineup.
Now, I do think that perception, for right or wrong, does matter to a slight degree. Just in terms of fan interest, recruiting, etc., etc. That doesn't
I think, yeah.
a lot, correlate directly to do you win NCAs. But I do think it has an effect on, like I said, recruiting, maybe how guys on the team feel or perceived, or how they feel like they are viewed by the nation and fans. So I do think that perception is slightly important.
Yeah, I agree with that. Perception matters.
And unfortunately, because I don't think it should have, part of the allure of Iowa might be waning off. Like you think about like in the Gable era and back in like the early 2000s, like you hear Metcalf going, I was going to wrestle for Brands no matter what. He had to be, I would have followed him no matter anywhere, like just soldiers. Like guys going, I had to wrestle for Gable. And it's kind of like what we see at Penn State now, where it's just
Well, of course.
guys go, this is where I have to go to be the best. I don't care. Or I shouldn't say I don't care, but even if I don't start, this is where I'm going to be the best.
Yeah, that's the challenge that every team is battling right now. There's no doubt about that. We can move off.
Some more breaking transfer news. It's not that big, but it's on topic a little bit. Bradley Hill, Oklahoma.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Official now, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
All right.
Someone should launch an investigation. Bradley Hill going to
These
Oklahoma.
schools are just trading.
Yeah.
World Team Trials. The entries didn't take long. They heating up.
Quickly. World Team Trial is going to be fire. Did you want to pose a question or just
Well,
talk to it?
This morning, I won Thomas P. Gilman. Getting people a little fired up because he said not retired.
Yeah. I think this could be just another example of Thomas.
You said Omaha's prodigal son returning.
JD.
I should say Council Bluffs prodigal son because people forget. He from the east side of the river. He's from Iowa, baby. But he did compete in Omaha and for
Scott Catholic.
Scott Catholic.
Uh,
Let us not forget, he was booed inside Chi Health Arena when he won his 4th state title.
wow. I will not forget that.
Why? What'd he do?
He was just Gilman.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
He probably abused
and he was
somebody.
going to Iowa. He did abuse people in high school.
Yeah.
Say no more.
Yeah. So
Love me or hate me.
the Gilman thing, I think I just chalked this under. Gilman's a little different on social media. And I don't think when he posts. So Jeff Riccio posted an Instagram post about all these retired athletes that he photographed for this crazy year with so many incredible athletes retiring. And one of them is Gilman. And Gilman shares that and says, not retired. Now, so the timing around this would make one think, wow, he's going to wrestle at the World Team Trials in 2 weeks, because that's what any normal person would conclude. But we know a lot about Thomas Gilman. And one of the main things we know is he is not normal, and to his great benefit. And I think he maybe made this post not realizing that people are going to think, oh, wow, Thomas is probably going 61. We've got all this news of entries. If he wrestles at 61 at the World Team Trials, the same weight Dayton Fix is going to make, I will be beyond stunned. I do not think that's what's happening. I think maybe he's saying he will compete again in wrestling. But if he wrestles at 61, I will be thoroughly, thoroughly shocked.
He's just hinting at a future beach career.
It could be. Beach wrestling is on the rise. We were watching. Tyler is he just understands different facets of the sport at a level few of us do. And he was doing beach wrestling research this morning. You can't get this guy to stop grinding. I say, Tyler, would you relax? He's like, I can't.
I can't do it.
If there's a beach without wrestling on it, I gotta know.
Well, is that why you brought up the Tito Ortiz thing? Because we were watching footage from the Huntington Beach Wrestling Open.
No, I'm on a Tito Ortiz deep dive on my Instagram because I just keep getting
Deep dive.
It honestly is the best. I had no idea that he was.
Oh, he's a psycho.
Well, no, he is not. No, he's so bad at talking,
Correct. Yes.
and I think
This is a guy that coaches wrestling still. Like, we might see him somewhere. So be careful what you say.
that's why I'm being so careful. Are you not seeing the
JD is like unwell.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. He just has some. He has this one. He's like, I train 6 days a week. 5 days of those, I train 3 days a week, and on one day I train 2 days a week.
That's kind of fire.
This is all this crazy.
He trains multiple days in one day.
That's just the one where he's making fun of somebody for not knowing how to talk, but he.
Yeah, he's like,
messes
this
up
guy can't put a sentence together. He's got grapes and he's making his wine and
Yeah.
violins, making that wine. That's like basically a verbatim of
That's
a
the
Tito
direct
Ortiz
quote. Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
It's a good, yeah. What did Caleb say? I was sending Caleb some. Anyways, we'll move on.
Back to Gilman. I think
Gilman.
Yeah.
A much better
Classic
talker.
Gil-
The greatest talker.
One of the best. One of the best.
One of the best.
In his brain, like, he is wrestling, And
No, we can't. We're laughing because
You want that up?
Kozak pulled up a Tito quote. He's fished for a lifetime. Well, someone just wrote the word, like the number 4. He didn't necessarily. You don't know that that's what he meant when he said it.
Feels like that's probably.
unfortunately for all the videos I have seen, I believe it. It is believable.
Yeah, here's that quote. I train 6 days, actually 6 days a week, 5 days a week. I'll train 3 days a week. One of those days I will train 2 days a week. So 6 days a week I will be training.
Okay. Okay.
This guy has found. Yeah. Anyway, all right, we got it. I'm sorry, JD.
Yeah,
I am sorry.
Now that was
JD wants to talk about Omaha's prodigal son.
well, I just think in his mind, like he is wrestling. He doesn't even differentiate between like coaching and competing. It's just like wrestling. Like I am not retired from the sport of wrestling. Like
So you don't think we'll see him in a competition?
no, I don't think so.
Man, my thing is Jeff Riccio literally says
Gio Fricio.
Gio Fricio, as our former John Michael Zach once said. He said athletes retiring. So there's no like ambiguity there. It's athletes, as in competitor, retiring. So he's saying not
I
retiring.
think he's just Steve Mockoing.
just Mako just like, yeah,
Did I take my effing shoes off?
that's right. What if Mako rolled up at the World Team Trials, 92 kilos,
Whooped his son.
Oh, snap.
smacked his son up? No, you can't make 92. Steve's big boy.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's a rumor about another Cowboy coach.
moving on.
Oh, okay. 70 kilograms, Andrew Lira's entered the mix.
That is interesting. And it made me wonder, one, is he just throwing his hat in the ring, just like, let's get some, he loves freestyle wrestling, but competing 13 pounds over your projected college weight is sort of a surprise.
He's not going to go 134.
Well, yeah, I know, but he could also just not do this wrestling.
I think he did an interview with Mike Mel this summer where he said he's going 141.
Yeah. I mean, I think he said he is.
He announced on his own podcast that he's going with 41.
Okay.
It was kind of like the launch of his podcast, right?
Yeah.
I believe that's what happened.
And he's probably, probably his Olympic trials performance had a sour taste in his mouth. He just wants to get some more freestyle action, nothing to lose type of thing, He can go down to 141. So I think he's just more of a
It's a big jump.
It is a big jump.
Mm-hmm. What is it, like 150, 54?
4.5?
Dude, it's pretty large.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It does.
Were entries out before Monday's show? I can never remember what we talk about on the show and what we talk about.
Not many.
They weren't.
David Carr going 79, not
Yeah.
70.
So they were
Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is. So it's either a couple of things with the very recent Carr Burroughs training session. Either Jordan wanted to get a feel for David and wrestle him, or he just doesn't view him as a threat.
Yeah.
I mean, Jordan is very careful about stuff like this, and so I don't know. I think it's cool they're training together. I'm sure he's like, last run, if we hit, we hit. It's one thing, but
You see Jordan already back in Nebraska where he belongs
he loves
in the
Nebraska.
heartland.
He has got to wrestle in Nebraska a lot in his career, and yeah, it'll be fun to see he and James both on the mat for.
Oh, snap. Lil Guapo is registered?
Bro,
Yeah.
hey, John Kozak was filling me in on Kennedy Monday, aka Lil Guapo's freestyle results, and they're pretty impressive.
Really?
Yes,
What about his brother? Why isn't he there?
a little small maybe.
Hmm.
I don't know, but Kozak, that was kind of me teeing you up though.
Yeah. No, Kennedy wrestled the Grand Prix of Spain in July, and he beat former world medalist, stripped of his bronze medal, Kajiev from France. He kind of pieced him up. He may have tacked him, and then he beat All-American Lennox Woolek in the finals as well. So
snap.
Kennedy Monday maybe didn't have like the college career to suggest that he would, have high-level, senior-level success, but his game's really translates really well to freestyle. He's got really good length. He can shoot that double from space pretty good, and he can score points like in a hurry. So he's got a really good style for freestyle, I think he could surprise some people. This is a loaded bracket,
Super
right?
loaded.
But I think.
What do we think the
Kenny can
toughest?
Do we just want to read them off real quick?
Yeah. 79, you got Burrows, Marsteller, Ringer, Carr, O'Toole, Monday, Wick, LaValle.
There we go.
Am I missing anybody that might enter the mix?
I don't think so.
That's who's registered so far.
I feel like that's everyone we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Immediately registered.
Dude, that's stacked.
Yeah. And then 70 is also really savage. And 61's tough. It doesn't have like as many, but the wrestlers that are in there are very tough. I don't know if we want to go to 70. Just
Want to read some of the 70s off?
Yeah, because there's a lot of new names in there as well. Some exciting names.
Antalio, Henderson, Yaya Thomas, Andrew Liris, Bryson Donian,
Ooh!
Jay Duke.
Jackson Arrington, Will Luan, and also Ian Parker, Jay Nabis. So really, really tough crew there. And we fully expect James Green to enter.
What is Bryce Andonian going to do at this tournament?
Whatever he wants.
what, let's just start predicting moves that he's going to make up.
Predicting Bryce Andonian, what a fool's errand.
I'm just glad that we live in a world where guys like Bryce Andonian can stick around and continue to compete.
Yeah, for college wrestling
awesome.
fans, if you like college wrestling, Bryce Andonian, freestyle Bryce Andonian is even zanier.
Mm-hmm.
First of all,
He's good, too. He won a junior bronze.
also,
2021.
He loves to kick the bricks.
but here's the problem.
What?
In international wrestling now, there's no bricks. They just hit the buzzer.
Oh, that's right.
But
Domestically, we still use the brick.
domestically, we stick with the roots. We still have the bricks. So for this tournament, you could see Bryce kick a brick. So you've got that.
You love to
What's
see
the
it.
over under? JD is our expert lines maker. I think we should do one for just like the
Is it just 0.5 brick kicks?
0.5 brick kick.
It would have to be 0.5.
0.5. I take the over.
Yeah. We root for the over.
All right, 61 kilogram entries. We've got Vito, who registered this morning, Seth Gross, Nashon Garrett, Dayton Fix, Marcus Blaze.
Crazy. This is and I forget. Do you think Jax is going to enter?
Why are you asking me?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
You don't know Jax?
You're the Bishop McCourt boy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. That's
He's going to be wrestling who's number one, right? Doesn't that
Yeah.
kind of clash with
well.
senior
PJ
roles?
Duke is apparently going to do juniors, senior world team trials, and who's number one all in a month.
Savage.
Wow.
Dog.
The percentage chance of that happening, I'm putting very low.
Well,
He does all of them?
what if
He does all three.
What if he happened to make the team?
Yeah, that's why.
And he would have to also do senior worlds.
Yes, he would. He would not do who's number one if he makes it.
He's not the favorite to make the team, but
No. I'm curious to see how he does because he's kind of a man.
yeah, he's a beast.
61. Anyone else that could? DeSanto.
Mm-hmm.
DeSanto's gonna enter.
Ooh. You know that for a fact?
Yes,
Yes. Vito sits out to the finals at 61 also,
he do.
Yes.
by the way.
he do.
As does Zahid.
So yeah, World Team Trials definitely gonna be fire. Very exciting. Do not. I will.
Are there any interesting entries at 92, I mean?
It's like Trent, Mike Mock, and JILO. So no. Not
Come on.
No, I don't mean like that. It's not interesting in that it's exactly who we thought would be there.
Yeah. I wonder what a Trent Hidley versus Zahid match looks like. They didn't collide at...
They wrestled a lot of times.
Zahid beat him in their most recent meeting.
Yeah, but when was the last time they wrestled?
Like a year ago.
Okay, not that long. Okay.
Zahid has just had his number.
Yeah.
I don't think it was very close either. All right, moving on. One Mr. Fast Twitch took exception to you, Christina Piles. Honestly, you kind of defending him.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty incendiary
Do you
stuff.
care to
for me.
respond?
I was honestly, I guess I can't say I was surprised, but I was pretty surprised. Well, you know what I thought? Because I hadn't seen the reel. I did the show, but I hadn't seen the reel. And so I was like, oh man, did JD do me dirty? Did he like edit it in such a way that it was like just me talking about Soldier Salute stuff or something? And then I watched the video And then I was really flummoxed, I got to admit, because, I mean, maybe he took issue with me saying he should be ranked number 1. Maybe he took issue with me saying I was rooting for him. Maybe he took exception to the fact that I said I hope he does well this year and that I hope it works out. I could see that getting under someone's skin, because that is you know what? And maybe I stepped it over the line too much, saying that he would need to have a modicum of contrition about what has happened at his previous stops. That's too far. Cross the line. I try to be a professional. Maybe that was too much. But in all seriousness, I was disappointed. To me, it's like
He for sure just didn't watch the video, right? He just saw thoughts on AJ Ferrari to Cal State Bakersfield and just like assumed that
he has to have listened. He has to have listened.
It's not a long clip. It's less than a minute.
It's not that. Yeah.
But maybe.
Dude, I feel like he just didn't watch the video.
Well, does this make you feel any different about his...
How do you watch that video and think this guy's hating on me?
I don't know.
What if he's just playing into it, you know?
Maybe he's just playing into
Playing
it.
into what?
I don't know. More attention?
If I was negative, it would mean then it would be something to play into, but I wasn't negative. I was, honestly, I have been probably too charitable to AJ for I don't know how long, an extended period of time. I continue even to this day. I'm rooting for AJ to get it together and do well. And if my positivity is the hate fuel he needs to do a good job, then we can keep this back and forth going. But it's never going to make sense in my mind. I don't get it, guys. If that's his genuine feelings right now, it does give me questions like, has he dealt with...
Has he changed at all? Or is it going to be...
I think people can change. I'm not sure he has yet. But my fingers are crossed.
You changed. You lost the H in your name.
I know he changed my spelling. I was Christina with the more traditional spelling. This is a little more exotic. Christina without the H. I don't know. Is that a symbol of growth?
Eventually, you'll just be Tina.
Yeah, that's
Fat lard.
The people in the
I have to gain 30 pounds. I'll be Tina, big fat lard.
the people in the replies were not very optimistic. They were like, "Man, this guy was like rooting for you, and this doesn't give us hope to see that maybe you made that you're turning it around."
Yeah, I don't know. And then the Ferrari brothers account retweeted that.
Well, I mean, that's probably just also AJ,
Probably
right?
AJ. Could be old man Ferrari lifts.
Well, he's not a Ferrari brother. He's old man Ferrari.
That's true. Could be Anthony. Angelo's a vlogger now. We learned that.
Yeah,
Dude, I think that's so smart.
That's very smart.
I said in the Slack, I was like, imagine if like Spencer Lee was vlogging when he was at Iowa. Like,
Yeah.
that Iowa fans are probably super into that, no matter how light lift it is, just showing like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this. Doesn't even have to be a ton. I think it's a smart investment. I think you're going to start to see a lot of, it'll be interesting because like, I don't know if you guys know this. You do know this, but when I was in college, I started making YouTube videos. But that was before NIL.
Look where it got you.
I had made nothing about wrestling. I was doing like other stuff, but like it was kind of like a thing where it's like you can't really do that. Like you can be a wrestler or you can be a YouTuber. And now, like especially back then, you weren't allowed to make money off of your name, image, and likeness. So like, let's say I was making content about wrestling and I started making money off of it on YouTube. Like I would have been, like I would have, they would have cut me from the program. Like I wouldn't have been, like if the NCAA found out, it could possibly cause repercussions. Whereas now, which is why I specifically wasn't talking about wrestling on it. Now, like you're seeing like Caden Henschel kind of started it.
For sure.
And I feel like there was this maybe stigma with like D1 guys where it's like, you don't want to, like they didn't want to do it, but now like younger kids are coming up and I feel like it's becoming more acceptable, like, or just less, like I feel like you're just going to start seeing more and more guys do it.
Yeah, you would think. Everyone starts a podcast and starts a vlog, but there's a lot of 1 or 2 episode podcasts and vlogs.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
this is me encouraging. I may be labeled a hater here, but continue. Don't stop. You're not going to be good in the beginning. I haven't watched it to know that it's not good.
It's good.
It's fine.
I watched it.
But you're only going to get better the more you do it and cultivate a community, and your
Not
first,
every vlog's going to be a home run.
and
Yeah.
also they're going to perform worse in the beginning generally than they will as you cultivate a community.
My thing is, like, it doesn't even have to be good. Like, wrestling fans are, not that Angelo's wasn't good. It was fine, but like,
Hater.
it was great. It was amazing. But like, wrestling fans are like desperate for inside looks at everything constantly. Like especially if you're a guy on like, these are teams that traditionally just don't give a lot of access to people outside. So anytime you have someone on the inside showing what's going on, like, you're gonna build an audience. People are gonna be curious, especially like kids.
Yeah.
You're gonna love
I
it.
liked wrestling for Gable so much because
Yeah.
it was a good inside
Little
look.
glimpse.
I will say, times have definitely changed, but like if I would have been if somebody would have been like a vlogger on my team in college, like we would have been.
You would have bullied him, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
One, get that camera out of here. Like,
yeah.
I do not want to be on camera. Two, like, dork. Some more.
But now, and like, I feel like it started out as something like you're Caden Henschel, and you just have to just not care and just like, keep doing it until you're successful, and then people start to respect you. Or like, I feel like he kind of broke the wall where it's like now everyone's seeing like, oh, if this guy can do it, maybe I can too, and it's like becoming more and more acceptable. Even if like you might, because vlogs are just inherently cringy, like to your friends. Not to the audience that you make them for,
Correct.
but like to your friends, the videos you make will always be kind of like cringe.
100%.
And so like that's kind of the barrier people have to get over when they want to make videos like that and stuff. So I think you're just going to see more and more kids do it because there's an appetite for it.
Yeah, and there's less of a stigma.
Yeah.
Kind of.
It's less of a stigmata these days.
That's right. It is schedule and roster season. Some schedules are starting to come out. Some rosters are coming out. Things are heating up.
We're only 6 months away from Penn State's roster getting updated too.
Right? They did release their Big Ten opponents,
Nice.
and I was happy to see
Was Iowa on there?
Iowa was on there. Yep.
It has to happen every year.
In State College this year, if I think correctly.
I think you are correct.
Double check.
Yes,
Double
you're
check.
100% right.
Kozak.
Drake beat Braden. Slide by.
Yep.
Carver.
One thing we noticed this morning, Sammy Sasso on Ohio State's roster at 165.
I think he's been eating some Buckeyes.
Well,
I like it.
I mean, we knew or we thought even before he was sidelined that he was going to 157, that he probably wasn't going to make 149 again. All of a sudden, you can barely walk. You're not getting much exercise. You bulk up a little bit.
Maybe he bulks up.
How does he fit in though? Isn't Hartzler coming back?
Well, here's
He's
the
listed at 74.
so.
Oh, that's right. I forgot
think
about that.
the plan. I think, man, honestly, if you could just like wave a magic wand, you want a reality where Patty, Sammy, Carson Karshla, and Rocco Welsh are all in the lineup. But the reality is someone's going to be out, which means if Carson goes 74, then Rocco would have to either battle it out or redshirt. And I think Rocco would probably win that match.
Go 84.
Or go 84, but then Rogoski's there. And has he redshirted yet, John?
Let me check. I don't think so.
He went last year. Because so he could redshirt.
Yeah, he could redshirt.
But, I mean, is Rocco an 84?
And do you take a guy who just made the NCAA finals, who's only in his second year, and force him to bump up
Yeah.
where he might not perform as well? Or do you say, hey, keep the hot hand?
I'm riding the hot hand, personally.
Especially when the guy who just beat him in the NCAA finals is gone.
Left the whole graveyard.
Is that how he's gone?
And so, yeah, I think
Yeah.
the reality is, like, Sammy at 49, I guess, is not an option anymore because that would be probably their best situation, even though that would take D'Amelio out. Then you could go Sammy, Patty. And Patty, what's Patty going to be ranked preseason?
Top 10.
We just put him in 9.
Num 9. So he's already num 9, and he missed a bunch of last year. He had a solid Vegas.
He's got 2 wins over guys in the top, like, 6.
Yep. So Patty could make some noise. But I think it's 65 is a weight of need if Hartzell's not going down. Now, I'm more interested in talking about how do we think he can do up at this weight? How does his style translate? Super excellent counter wrestler. If you get in on his legs, he's tough. He likes to wrestle out of an underhook. Do we think he's going to have the physicality to wrestle up there? We've seen him wrestle at 70 kilograms, which is 154.5, and be super effective. I mean, he was this far from making Final X in 2023. How do we think he does up at 165? And this is a great thing to look at here. Kozak pulls up the rankings. This is not the deepest weight class, boys and girls.
Look, if I knew Sammy Sasso was Sammy Sasso form, I wouldn't have too much qualm about him, being in the top 3, 4, 5.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's there yet. I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying I don't know. I'm saying this man could barely walk.
Yeah, I know.
And they were talking about like him just
Wrestling again in any capacity.
is a huge achievement within itself. So it's not too early to say.
It's not the deepest weight class, but it's not undeep.
That's the word.
Undeep.
I don't know, man.
Not undeep.
I'm not going to name names, but I don't think it is particularly.
The top 6 is pretty solid. I mean,
Yeah.
they're all Americans
I'd be-
except for
I'd be-
Julian Ramirez, who has a crazy. Yeah, that's true.
Man,
Is there a reason
Who has
you
a
cut it off
crazy
at
hit
6
list.
for Michigan man?
I just don't. Is Garrett Thompson an All American?
I think so.
Then the top 7.
I don't think so.
You don't think
Okay.
so? Is he just around a 12?
Yeah, he didn't place.
So that's why I said the top 6. Because the top 6 are all
Like I said,
Americans
round of
except for Julian Ramirez, who has a crazy hit list. So it's pretty solid top 6.
It's solid. I mean, but
There's probably other weights that do not have that many All Americans.
here's the thing. Sammy Sasso is excellent. I think
Yeah.
if he's 92% Sammy Sasso, I think he could be top 3. I mean, Hunter Garvin was kind of an out of nowhere All-American last year. He went crazy.
It depends on
Yeah,
if
the city
he's like.
legend.
It depends on if he's a legit 65 or not. Pretty much.
Yeah.
No, it depends on if he can get back to form or not.
Yeah.
Mm, I think he's.
I'm kind of with JD.
I'm way more. It depends on if he can get back to his realistic level of wrestling that he was at previous,
Well, it's
or even
both.
close to it.
Here's what I'll say. Let's do this exercise. If I told you
I hate
Sammy Sasso was a slightly undersized 165, but was 100% fully healthy Sammy Sasso, would that be a better prognostication, or him being
Yes.
Yeah, that would be
undersized and maybe we don't know how healthy he is?
That'd be better.
Yeah, that's.
But I'm taking both into account too. Like, if he's not a full size 65, that's probably an indication that he's not fully healthy too. Or like if he's like if he's like
build into a 165,
if he's like a little thick,
but
then that's probably an indication that
lift. I don't know. Like I don't even know if he can like lift super heavy and like really put on good weight.
yeah.
Again, I'm not saying he can't.
as long as he can bench press. That's all that matters, boys. Racket.
Well, curls matter.
Oh my! I remember,
Those are just for the girls.
dude. What?
Yeah, exactly. They matter.
I remember we were at the when we were at their new facility, the Cavelli Wrestling Center, and they have this sick room, and they have the weight room right in there, and it was one of those things. I forget what we were even doing or why we were there, but we were just kind of hanging out down there waiting for people to show up, and then I started lifting at this. They have this sweet rack. It has no. Listen, shut up. It's like American.
That's funny.
It's like American. It's like American flag, and it's like there's one that's like different from all of them. And who's he next to there?
Shoemate.
Oh my gosh.
He's looking pretty big.
Yeah. So,
See
anyways,
Ohio State's rack in the back of that photo?
see, those are normal looking, but all the way to the left that you can't see, it's this cool one with American flags and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, let's lift here. This is cool. And then I think we did an interview with Bo Jordan. He's like, yeah, he's kind of doing a little tour. I think it was Bo. He's like, yeah, in this rack, the only people that are allowed to use this are world and Olympic champions or world team members.
Oh,
and I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, right. And like, they didn't know we had used it. We like defiled their special weightlifting area. We're like, Oh, that's cool.
Oh, right. That makes sense for sure. No
Cool
doubt.
little tradition. Yeah. It's like, yeah, no one else is allowed to use this. Like, right. Oh, that's cool. Makes it special that way. You can have some like journalists coming, camera people. Very cool detail. But moving on off that. And how often do you guys check the security tape?
It's funny.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm all in for Big Sammy Sasso.
No, you guys changed my mind.
Wow. People
Can change.
think people can't change. AJ Ferrari says, I will never change. So he doesn't think people can change.
He
But
didn't say I
know.
will never change.
That's true.
That's just what you're
He
inferring.
said, no, he said, I would never change.
Oh,
He said, when will I stop being a clown?
he doesn't think people
He
can
said,
change.
answer, never.
Honestly, he kind of owned you.
I know. There's no coming back from that.
Hey, it's time for our monthly Gable Steveson discussion because our friend Gable was cut from the Bills team yesterday.
Yeah, and he did not make the practice squad either
Correct.
How do you know that?
because they announced their practice squad.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering.
He's like, wait, what's your source?
Well, because everyone was like, he could still make a practice squad. Did the practice squad get announced yesterday?
Well, they had the initial roster. He wasn't on it, and then the next day it was practice squad. He wasn't on that either.
So what'd you ask? What's next for him?
Yeah, what's next?
He could wrestle in college this year, couldn't
I would say almost anything is on the table but wrestling. If I had to guess,
he? Why?
this guy does not want to wrestle. He's doing everything he can to not wrestle.
He can technically get a retroactive Olympic red shirt. Is that true? Yes or no?
It's possible. Yeah.
That's insane.
I mean, maybe it's true. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think he wants to wrestle because, football, WWE, I don't think he wants to do it anymore.
Well, he can't do either of those things now, though, right?
Well, I know, but I think he'll go to something else. I would love it if he came
Is he
back.
gonna do like downhill skiing? What do you mean something else? What else is there?
MMA.
That's it, though.
That's it.
Acting, content creator.
Yeah, vlogger. He can be a
Vlogger.
I mean, he could just
Maybe-
be an influencer. He has a bunch
maybe-
of followers.
Maybe he comes and works here. You know?
You hiring?
Maybe he sits to my left on FRL.
Oh snap! Dang it!
Open invitation.
Come on, dude.
But not really. Never permanently. No, I would do it fair. Whoever won the takedown goes would get to keep the
Fair's
position.
fair.
That's fair.
Fair's fair.
Anyway, no, I would be surprised if he wrestled. I would be surprised if he never wrestled again. That would surprise me. But I would be surprised if his next stop was wrestling again, just because it doesn't seem like that's what he's into right now.
Well,
What would
here's
drive
what
him back to wrestling and when?
Here's my thing. I feel like he went to. I don't know this for sure, but it felt like he went to WWE for the money. It felt like maybe he was trying NFL for the money, and now there's a lot of NIL money being thrown around.
I know. I feel like he could have made more if he had. And that's my point. So here's why I don't think he had massive offers to come back to college wrestling that would probably eclipse,
The practice squad.
yeah, the practice squad, right? Like crazy money, and he didn't do it. So if he's super financially motivated, honestly, wrestling is kind of the best guaranteed significant revenue for him, or income for him, and he turned that down. So that to me says he does not really want to wrestle right now.
I think it's more about fame than money. And he thinks he can only become so famous wrestling, and he might have, in fact, basically maxed that out relatively. So he wants to move on and be a celebrity, be a WWE star, which is 1,000x.
But he can't do that anymore, can he?
No, but I'm saying he wants to do something like that. So maybe he goes and he thinks he can do like a Paul brother thing almost, where he becomes just like a content creator,
Celebrity boxer.
I don't.
like Jake Paul
He's gonna
before
fight
boxer.
Mike Tyson.
Jake Paul before boxer, who just keeps his name relevant by creating content and
Well, that's
hanging around
a straight up
combat
YouTuber.
sports.
I don't see Gable becoming a YouTuber.
Yeah, I don't know what's next for him. I hope it's something that fully takes advantage of his incredible skill set that he's developed. And football was not that. I mean, I don't fault him for trying, but I think anyone that was realistic didn't think it was.
Well, if it's not wrestling, I hope it's MMA.
And MMA is a long path. Does he want to climb another? And unlike wrestling, where if you're the best, it's a guarantee you will win the Olympics, basically, right? If you are at that level.
No, I think that's crazy to say. I think
Did
that
you
is-
hear the words that
I
just
think
came out
that is so insane.
Listen, if you are the best, you're going to reach the mountaintop. You could be the best. Bo Nickel could be the best 185 in the world, and we won't know that for 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay. But in wrestling, if you're the best and you get to the highest level,
You won't know if you'll be an Olympic champ for 4 years.
okay. You're changing the argument, the point to win a little point here.
Well,
The broader point is you can be the best in the world and
Yeah.
it's proven.
I get what you're saying. You're trying to say, like, you get a chance once a year to prove that you're the best.
Yeah, and the process to do it is a meritocracy. You enter a tournament, and you.
Whereas in MMA, you could be the best. You're like the best version of you could be the version that is still fighting like your first fights or like whatever. The opportunity.
fighting bums.
You could get worse as you age, whatever. And
Also, you just may never get the opportunity. They shelf these guys. Gregor Gillespie is trying to get fights like crazy. You got guys with great records that don't get up. The UFC or the entities don't use them, don't want them.
they
Right?
use Bo.
It's about, and he is a rarity of rarities. This guy was on the main card of UFC 300, and he has 3 or 4 fights.
don't you think Gable could perhaps get the Bo treatment though?
Perhaps.
He has to be that good. Though Bo is that good.
I mean, put him in the Dana White Contender Series and knock out a couple plumbers, and like there you go.
Yeah, also, I don't think Dana White Contender Series isn't just plumbers. Nick Piccinini just had to do one.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Split decision.
No, I was exaggerating. Obviously, people were like downplaying the guys that Bo fought in the Contender Series.
Well, sure. I mean, it's all unproven. If they were the best, they wouldn't be on the Contender Series, right? It's
For
not
sure.
like the ultimate proving ground.
That was an exaggeration.
I think for Gable to get the Bo treatment, it would have to take a year of him committing to MMA.
Well, it took that from Bo.
But yeah, because Bo was doing it like while he was still
That's true.
training wrestling. He was like, "This is what I want to do next, and this is what I want to do for the rest of my life."
When was Bo's MMA debut?
Let me see.
Do you really feel like if Gable gave it like tried for the next 6 months to become a proficient fighter, he wouldn't be able to become like top 20 in the world?
Well, no. That's a different question.
Bo debuted
To like
June
get that
3rd,
skill level,
June 3rd, 2022.
to have skill level equal to that.
More than a year after Olympic.
So a year, he was, and Bo was kind of half timing it.
I don't
And then
think.
when
I think he said he wasn't half timing. He said he like played around and he knew he wanted to,
Yeah.
but he really did try to make that Olympic team. He went all in.
So a year and 2
making that Olympic
months
team.
before he made his debut against. Now that was more against a plumber.
Yes,
for type
that
of
was.
But for Gable, getting into the top 20 skill level is not actually what matters. Is he can get any opportunities.
But I'm saying like if you get to that skill level, you fight your first few fights, and like maybe you get the same path that Bo Nickel got.
It's possible.
Especially when you have the
Bo Nickel
audience.
was knocking everybody out in a minute. He had
That's true.
as much hype as Gable, and then backed it up by knocking everybody out in the first
He
minute.
didn't submit his first couple guys. He just straight knocked them.
until his last fight. So it showed, hey, I also have insane power.
Yeah.
So I think that's what Gable would have to do. He'd have to come out, knock some dudes out early.
I don't think he could.
And he's got to. Well, we have no idea. We have no idea if he can fight or punch
Yeah,
or
I'm not going to
whatever.
say I don't think
Who had any idea that Bo Nickel could strike like that? We don't know.
Gable's played
I think everyone had an idea, bro. That guy's a next level athlete.
yeah,
Hold
but
on.
not like that.
What? No one knew. Stop.
I knew.
No, you didn't.
I knew.
All right.
Yeah, I thought he could knock out bums in 10 seconds, but now he's knocking out like,
Well, now he's submitting the better
middleweight.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what's next. We'll find out from Gable. He zigs when we think he'll zag. I mean, the guy made the world team and then just.
You're telling me you didn't think that Bo Nickel would be able to go out there and knock people
I
out?
thought he'd be a fine fighter. I thought he had some of the intangibles, but the idea that he would just be starching dudes as a
Dude, his
lifetime.
power that he can generate is insane. He was literally on his back and he flipped Miles Martin onto his back.
I mean, it was a
He
elevator.
did crazy. No, but it wasn't even really an elevator.
No, but I didn't expect him to not use his wrestling whatsoever and just knock dudes out in 30 seconds like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Him as an MMA prospect, I think was for sure. Him as a stand-up, knock dudes out with punches with a couple months of striking training, stop.
No,
your
I
orbit.
always knew it.
Tyler knew.
I always knew.
All right, move on.
Should we get to questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
11:15.
Oh, perfect. All right. This one's from Sean Carroll. How did Tyler know that Bo Nickel will be able to knock everyone out? No. This one is less of a question, more of a reminder. In college, Dake got bigger each year because he was getting older and growing. Fact, Dake is now getting younger. Ergo, he's getting lighter. Ergo, it's irrelevant to discuss 79 kg or 86 kg. Ergo, conversation should center on 70 kg and 65 kg. Thank you.
I'm over the getting younger.
I
every
was
day
just going to
joke.
say that.
I'm so tired of it.
I didn't put this in
I
the
think,
doc.
Honestly, JD, I don't know if you'll
easy.
agree, but I think Tyler killed it. He's used it a couple times.
Yeah.
And it felt like that was the moment. It's like, all right, it's really jumped the shark.
How many years are we going to make this joke?
Yeah.
You guys are really going to dunk on a FRL questioner for putting himself out there?
No, I appreciate.
Yes,
No, I know Sean. He's a good guy.
Tell him you appreciate him.
I appreciate Sean. I appreciate all the question askers.
Good.
Unless
Alright.
you can somehow make this joke in a way I haven't heard yet.
Yeah.
Which is unrealistic because we have all heard it many, many times.
Yeah. And don't look to Tyler to put a new spin on something.
I did not put that question in this document. All right, next one. Dominic Montano. Is there any update on how the Pac-12 conference is going to work? With Arizona State and Stanford leaving, it leaves only 4 teams.
I think they're going to have it for 2 more years, and then it will be sunset into oblivion.
Correct. I talked to Pendleton at Magic Camp this summer.
Magic Camp.
I was went to David Taylor.
I love it. We called it that the whole time.
And yeah, he basically, he had ideas about starting like an own Western Conference type thing for wrestling, but nothing is concrete.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
know for sure. But two more years.
It is concrete that there will be no more Pac-12
Yeah.
in a couple of years.
Okay. Next one from Jack McGuire. How surprised would your 2017 selves be to learn that Penn State's Murderers Row retired with 0 Olympic medals?
I'd be pretty surprised because, okay.
They are not retired. All of them.
Okay.
Zane Rutherford said he could come back for 2028.
Anyone could come back, but yeah, I think it's fair to say that they will retire with index this, save it for 2028, and you could have the dunk of dunks. But I think it's fair to just go along with Jack's premise that they're not going to get any Olympic medals. And I would be kind of surprised, particularly that Zane didn't. But also, Olympic medals are a little more finicky. I think it's more about not many teams.
Yes, that's what
Right.
I was going to say.
I mean, Zane made them, and that
He was
was
a world champion.
Zane was a world champion, and he made multiple teams. But other than that, no one made a team.
Yeah.
But then again, if in 2017, would I think that Mark Hall would be unseating Jordan Burroughs and Kyle Dake at 74? I wouldn't have predicted that then. I thought maybe it gets interesting. Would I have thought Jason Nolf would get there? Possibly, but I wouldn't be surprised to learn that he didn't get over that hump. Bo Nickel, maybe I would have thought, but
Also, don't forget, in 2017, Team USA as a whole still wasn't rattled. That was our first year
Yeah.
that we won the team title. We weren't in our 18, 19, 21 era of, hey, we're going to go win multiple golds and team titles. We were still, hey, Burrow's going to win gold. Jaden's going to go win a medal, and then maybe one or two other. Like, we weren't quite in our used to winning world and Olympic medals, especially Olympic at that point.
Yeah.
Like, at the rate that we expect now.
So I guess I'll say I'm not surprised at his question.
I brought this up earlier before the podcast. I said I wouldn't be shocked if Zane was the 74 kg rep in 28.
I would be
shocked
shocked.
Why shocked?
because I really, really, really don't think it's going to happen.
He's never wrestled that weight once. He's battled a lot of injuries. He's going to be 4 years older. He wrestles an extremely physical style that I think it gets harder and harder to do as you age. And I think, yeah, that's what I think.
And I don't think he's going to compete before that.
No, he said he might take 3 years off and then try to make the 2018.
I think that'd be awesome. That may be the best path for him. Honestly.
True.
To
Take 3 years
74
off.
kg.
Go get big. I'm team bump up. But I would be shocked if he made the team.
I'm team cut.
57 on the table.
All right, next one is one of the biggest what ifs for me this year relates to CP's argument that JB should have wrestled 86 kilos. Please indulge us with how JB would have matched up with the best guys at 86 at the Olympic trials this year. Aaron Brooks, David Taylor, Ringer, Zahid, and the Olympics. Yazdani.
It'd have been really tough. Don't get me wrong.
Them boys big.
Brooks, Ringer. I mean, we've seen him beat Ringer. We've seen him beat Zahid. We've seen him beat David Taylor. We've seen him had a criteria loss to David Taylor. So that's what we have seen. Now, I just think spiritually we would have got to see Jordan go down swinging a little more than we did against Nolf, where it was, frankly, it was a one exchange match, and Jordan couldn't really get much offense off to speak of. And it's a credit to Nolf's defense to a degree, but also it illustrates that Jordan is not the same down at 74 day of. And I thought that match really illustrated my point. Now, I'm not saying he would have made the team for sure, or even like he would have been my pick, but I think he would have went out healthier and more out on his shield than he did in that Nolf match. That's kind of always been my perspective. And you know that the bar at 86 is David Taylor, and you know how that goes. You know you're there with him. You know it's a winnable match. Would you beat him? I don't know. But, man, it was a freaking criteria win the year he won the Olympics.
Man, if you're Jordan Burroughs, how do you take down Aaron Brooks?
You don't. You want him.
Yeah.
Step him out. Tactics.
The same way he went to a criteria with David Taylor.
Yeah.
Step outs.
Yep. I mean, that is what really separates Jordan, his ability to get those ones when he needs them. That's probably how. But imagine if he spent 21 to 24
all focused on moving up,
getting bigger. Like, I don't know. I mean, he's certainly not the tallest.
Taller than you.
How tall he is still in question. But he can get big.
All right, I'm going to skip forward a couple questions because this one is fun, I think. It's from Rob, Pretty Rob on Twitter. It said, best projected college front half from 125 to 157 starting lineup next year. NC State, ? Penn State, Iowa, Okie State, someone else?
This is a long one.
Can I read you the top five, the first five of some of these schools?
Sure.
NC State, you got Camacho, Arini, Jack Ryan, Arrington.
Jack Ryan.
What did I say? Ryan Jack, shut up. Arrington and Ed Scott. Mm-hmm. That's pretty solid.
Very solid.
Jack Ryan. I said that.
You're not the first person to make that.
Yeah.
Penn State, you got Lillidahl, Nagao, Bartlett, Van Ness, Kasak, maybe. Iowa, you got Cruz, Ayala, Block, Parco, Teamer. Oklahoma State, which is who he asked about. Spratley, Hughes, McComas, Jameson, Young, and then Caleb Fish or T. Travis. Nebraska, you got Caleb Smith, Van D, Brock Hardy, Ridge Levitt, Antrell Taylor.
Penn State, then Nebraska, then NC State, I would say.
It's fun to think about. It's fun to break up the lineup into segments because that makes it a little bit more competitive.
I like it. Were we going to talk about weights? Should we talk about that, Jonathan? I kind of want to.
I think we should.
I'll just tee it up.
Let's put it out there.
All right. So I don't know if did I tell this on FRL? My sort of conversation with Ray Higuchi.
You did tell it on.
About how he's talking about weight changes?
Yes.
Okay. And where I was like, I kind of don't think that's happening. Well, more rumors, more people are saying that there's a chance, and people that are sort of connected, not necessarily UWW sources, but people in these circles really think there could be some changes to the weight classes after the World Championships. And particularly moving up the 57 kilogram in men's freestyle up to 59, 60 was what we heard. These are just rumors. We were keeping you in the loop. Of course, we don't know that this is going to happen, but I bring it up because it's something I've advocated for on the show. It's something I want to see happen. The elimination of 57. I feel like it's this weird thing. It's kind of like in the UFC. We have all these guys. They cut from 220 down to 185. They're both doing it. They're both killing themselves, and then they're back up to 220 the next day. It's like, what was the point of all that? So I think for this, it's like you have all these guys that are sucking down to 57. I think you just make that weight so much better if it bumps up a couple kilos. I don't think we lose any great wrestlers, and I think we just add great wrestlers to that weight class. Don't know if it's happening. I don't know when we'll know. It won't be till after the World Championships, but Kozak kind of put me on this. I don't know if you want to elaborate on it a little bit more, John, but yeah, I think it's real.
I think it's interesting that we weren't really hearing much about it until maybe the last month or so. And then I started hearing from different people kind of connected to in the international wrestling circle. International wrestlers, their coaches have heard about it. They think it's going to happen. So that makes me think there are some legs to it, and we could see it. And I just think it would be really, really interesting. I think it could be really good for wrestling as a whole, and even for Team USA. I think you look at, even what's speculated about the lowest weight, Spencer Lee Vito Arujau matchup at 60 kilograms. Like, that is
crazy.
That is really, really interesting, and maybe could make for just better matchups for trials and Team USA especially.
Yeah, I'd be curious. Obviously there's a ripple effect because we have 10 weights, and where do you put the other 9, and how much spacing is there? Does 65 would obviously have to probably move up as an Olympic weight to 67, 68, I don't know, but move up a little bit. So there'll be a domino effect there as well. But I think you can move 57 up a little bit, and I think it would overall help wrestling. I think it'd be a great thing. I'd love to see it.
We did an interview with Lolovich. It's not out yet, but
yeah,
you asked him if there was. It wasn't that exact question, but you asked him if maybe they'd shift the Olympic weights around. And he said that it's being presented to the board. Yeah.
He was sort of on the fence if it was something that will or won't happen or whatever. But yeah, it sounds like there is a movement for this. So just figured you guys would want to know that. We've talked about on this show many times, like 60 kilograms was like the coolest weight at the Olympics for years and World Championships. And that was the weight of Togrul Asgarov and Besik Kudakov and a lot of other legends. And they just kind of said, this is not a weight anymore. And that was a shame. So I would love to see it be reintroduced.
Would you put the lowest weight at 60? World and Olympic? Or would you go 59?
I don't know why I like 59 more. Just I feel like that's a good, 61, 57, they're 2 kilos apart. I think that's good symmetry. And then, yeah, it allows the middleweights to stay more like a middleweight, where you don't have to bump it up to even more. Yeah, I like 59, but if they said 60, I would celebrate that as well. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's kind of random.
I just like it more.
Okay. All right, last question. Can we get a general update on how FRL is going for you guys lately? How are you liking the studio? How's the new start time treating you? Do you like the dynamic of 3 to 4 in-house people in each show? Has any of this actually affected viewership?
Okay, let's take this one by one.
Mm-hmm.
It's going good.
That's your opinion.
It's my opinion. The 3 or 4, it depends on which 3 or 4 are here.
We got Satan over there.
Yeah, we got the father of lies. We got Tito's cousin. When it's that's a lot to contend with for JD and I, but we handle it.
Manage.
No, it's been going great, I think. We love the studio. I love the studio so
Sometimes
much.
it seems too much for me.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be in a place this fancy.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, oh my gosh. I use the studio all the time. I shoot my videos in here, so I really love this place a lot. 3 to 4 people. We don't always. 3 or 4 is pretty common. We don't always have 4, but I've been liking the dynamic, and the viewership's remained really strong, which is we're really appreciative of you guys and
It's the best. The viewership is the best. It's never been higher. We all know this. It's the best show.
Our viewership over this past offseason was a lot higher than last offseason.
Yeah, which is, we wondered. There's changes. No Ben and everything, and Ben helped the show a lot, and it was sort of a gamble, but I thought it would do fine because I know what you guys like, and you guys, it's not us, it's the topics, it's the conversation.
The real question, you shouldn't be asking us this. This should be
yeah. How is it for you?
How's it for you? Yeah. What do you think Virginia is for FRL?
Is that your burner?
It's not, because mine would be Virginia's for lovers. Mm-hmm. That's where my focus is.
Well, but we all know that would be you. So this is how you disguise it.
I would do something that's almost identical to it.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. No, this is just a hat tip to the message board days. No, I don't
think the profile picture is the word love.
Oh.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it is. I didn't actually notice that.
So
there
you go.
That's beautiful.
Could be you.
It could be me. It is not. But it could be.
All right. Well, on that lovely positive note,
remember, don't tune in Monday. You'll be
do it.
disappointed.
But go barbecue.
Barbecue.
JD will not be barbecuing.
Guys, would you stop asking if JD's going to barbecue? Because he's not. Yeah,
He's not going to.
Yeah, he's not going to barbecue.
You'll be on a flight.
Actually, maybe I could barbecue before.
I'm not barbecuing. Whoa. I think if JD was...
That's my arm.
JD's friends maybe listen, be like, bro, you're going to a barbecue without me? And so now he's like getting out in front of that because he don't want his friends to think he's having a get together without him. Mm-hmm. Hope everyone has a great Labor Day weekend, long weekend. Where's Tyler's going? He's going to pee like Ben Askren did at the end of every show. We'll be back Tuesday, same time though. Thanks to Ever, our producer. Thanks to JD and Kozak for doing the show. And Tyler. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Goodbye. Oh, here he comes. Oh, no. There he goes. Check this out.